Today we've got a packed lineup of topics you won't want to miss. Okay, so you know how Rockstar officially said GTA 6 is dropping somewhere between Q3 and Q4 next year, right? Well, apparently, a new leak just narrowed it down even more. And it's kind of interesting. There's this guy on X, goes by Detective Seeds. He's leaked stuff before, sometimes he's spot on, sometimes way off, so grain of salt and all that. But according to him, GTA 6 is actually aiming for mid-November 2025. Not an exact date yet, but definitely more specific than anything Rockstar's officially told us. Now here's the thing. He also said that PlayStation supposedly already knows when it's coming out, which honestly makes a lot of sense, because Sony's not dumb. They wouldn't want to drop any of their big exclusives too close to GTA 6. And if you look at it, Ghost of YOTE just locked in its release date for early October. It's like they're trying to get out of the way before the GTA 6 bomb hits. You can't blame them. Nobody wants their game buried when GTA 6 finally lands. It's gonna be the biggest entertainment launch probably ever. Of course, Rockstar and Take-Two haven't said anything official about this leak yet. And honestly, they probably won't. They'll just keep teasing us until they're good and ready. But yeah, if you're trying to plan what you're playing this fall next year, maybe leave a big empty space around November, just in case. And just so you know, GTA 6 is still locked for PS5, PS5 Pro, and the Xbox Series consoles. No PC news yet, but you already know how Rockstar likes to make PC players wait. Anyway, like always, with GTA rumors, take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, mid-November feels about right. All right, heads up, if you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus Premium or Extra, May's gonna hurt. Like, seriously bad. They're pulling over 20 games from the catalog next month, and it's not just some random indie stuff either. Some pretty big names are on the chopping block. First off, the big one, Grand Theft Auto 5, but it's still one of the most played games ever. If you were relying on PS Plus to play it for free, you're out of luck soon. After May, if you want to keep playing GTA 5, you're gonna have to actually buy it. Kinda wild too, because they just added it to Xbox Game Pass, so Xbox players are chillin', while PlayStation players gotta reach for their wallets. But it's not just GTA. Sony's even yanking their own games, like Resistance. Fall of Man and Resistance 2, two PS3 classics, are getting removed. You could only stream them through PS Plus Premium anyway, but still, it sucks. And get this, Infamous. Second Son is getting booted too. That one really stings because it's a straight-up sucker punch game, a full-on PlayStation exclusive. Why pull your own games? I don't get it. They're even chopping some PS VR 2 titles too, like Before Your Eyes and Synth Riders. Honestly, it's just a brutal month all around. If you want the full list, Sony put it up already, but man, it's rough. So if there's anything you were halfway through playing or had on your backlog, now's the time to jump on it before it disappears. Man, the Ghost of YOTE trailer absolutely broke the internet in the best way. Nobody was ready for it. No state of play, no big event, just boom, random drop, release date and all. People are losing it. And honestly, same. The hype is through the roof. Some folks are literally joking they just have to survive till October 2nd because this is now the game everyone's waiting on. The vibes are insane. People are calling it the perfect way to start their day. Others saying it's the best surprise Sony's pulled in a long time without leaks. And the trailer itself, absolute fire. A lot of people are picking up on the Kill Bill and Blue Eye Samurai inspiration. Yellow robes, katana, revenge list strapped to her arm. It's got that stylish, brutal energy, but still feels super grounded in that classic Ghost of Tsushima atmosphere we all love. Also, shout out to the detail nerds. Everyone noticed the cracked mask repaired with gold. That's actual kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken things with gold. A literal symbol of the main character's story. Stuff like that, chef's kiss. You can tell the devs at Sucker Punch are cooking again. Another thing that's got the fans buzzing is the return of one-on-one duels. People really want the game to lean hard into those dramatic cinematic fights. Because let's be real, the duels in Tsushima were legendary. Add in the new wolf companion that's gonna be with you the whole game. Yeah, they're hitting us right in the heart. And it's crazy. So many players are finishing Ghost of Tsushima right now or replaying it. And this trailer just dropped perfectly for them. Like like it was meant to be. Some are even saying this week is one of the best weeks in gaming in a long time. We got the Oblivion remaster news, Claire Obscure reviews, and now Ghost of YOTE coming out of nowhere with a release date. Honestly, it's not just hype for the news story either. A lot of people are hoping Legends mode makes a comeback too. PvE in Ghost of Tsushima was so underrated, and if they bring that magic back, it's over. Game of the Year contender easy. Sony's basically reminding everyone why their single-player games still hit different. While other companies are fumbling with live service stuff, Sucker Punch is out here just cooking. No gimmicks, no cash grab, just pure artistry. October can't come fast enough. Alright, so here's a bit more of the full picture on this PS5 firmware disaster. The update that caused all this mess is the 25th of March, 11/20/001, the same one that Sony hyped up for bringing back the classic PlayStation console themes, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 skins, and adding that new audio focus feature for better headphone sound balancing. On paper, it sounded like a chill update, right? Nothing risky, no crazy new system overhauls, just vibe. But once players started downloading it, that's when the weird stuff kicked in. Massive screen tearing even on games that were buttery smooth before. Textures not loading properly, so you get characters with Play-Doh faces or completely missing armor clothing. Frequent crashes, especially on demanding titles like Final Fantasy 16 and Elden Ring. Lighting bug, like environments either pitch black or glowing like the sun for no reason. Some players are even reporting frame rates dropping into the single digits on base PS5 hardware. And to be super clear, this is mostly hitting base PS5 users, meaning the original PS5, not the PS5 Slim or the PS5 Pro. Weirdly enough, PS5 Slim users seem to be fine, or at least less impacted. A few tech heads are guessing it might be an issue with how the firmware is interacting with the PS5's internal SSD and memory caching, because on top of all the visual glitches, some games are having way longer load times too, which makes it sound like something deeper than just a display bug. As for Sony's official reaction, nothing yet. No blog post, no patch notes update, no emergency firmware rollback, which some players are begging for. Meanwhile, Square Enix has confirmed they're looking into the issues with Final Fantasy 16, since it's the most obviously broken game after the update. But realistically, unless Sony gets involved, there's only so much individual devs can do, because the problem seems tied to the system's software itself. So Marathon's closed alpha just went live on April 23rd, and people who got in have already been grinding it for a few days. Overall, the early impressions seem kinda mixed. Not bad, but definitely not flawless. First off, there's one big thing that keeps coming up: aim assist. More specifically, the fact that aim assist is active for mouse and keyboard players on PC. And yeah, people are not loving that. Shroud, one of the biggest names in FPS games, straight up called it out live on stream. He basically said, look, Bungie's trying to balance crossplay between console and PC, which makes sense, but the way they're doing it is just watering down the PC experience. In his words, they're adding this weird aim magnetism to help mouse players keep up with controllers, but at the cost of making mouse and keyboard feel bad. Like you're not really aiming anymore. You're getting nudged toward targets. And he even said he'd rather lose fair and square than have aim assist babysitting his shots. And honestly, he's not the only one thinking that. A lot of PC players in the alpha are feeling the same way. Now, that aside, not everything about Marathon is doom and gloom. There's a lot of people saying it actually runs super smooth on PC. The art style, some love it, some think it's kinda mid, but overall, it looks clean. The gameplay, it's definitely more casual friendly compared to something like Escape from Tarkov. Bungie even hands you starter loot if you don't have a weapon, which, not exactly hardcore, but it'll save you from rage quitting after one bad match. That said, it's still challenging. AI enemies are no joke. There's clips out there of players like Aztec Ross getting absolutely bodied by NPCs. Like, dude tried to shield push an enemy and just got yeeted across the map. And by the time he tried to heal, the AI was already sprinting him down like a Terminator. It's kinda hilarious, not gonna lie. But yeah, not everything's perfect. Some people are saying the shooting feels sluggish. Others are complaining that the menus, the UI, the contract system, all of it feels boring. And solo players, they're saying it's just not fun to play alone because the AI swarms you and it gets overwhelming fast. So yeah, early vibes on Marathon are pretty all over the place right now. Some good, some bad, some let's see after another patch. But honestly, Bungie should probably listen to people like Shroud. Hardcore players are gonna be the backbone for a game like this, especially if you want it to live long term. And if the core PC audience is already frustrated over stuff like aim assist, that's a warning you really really don't want to ignore. So apparently, a big French retailer, Fnac, came out and said that Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders have been, like, historic levels of crazy. Like, they're breaking records already, even with all the drama about the new pricing, tariffs, and everybody worrying that the economy might slow down gaming sales. No, people are still throwing money at it. Charlotte Massico, who's basically the big boss for gaming at Fnac, told a French news site that the pre-orders right after the April 2nd Direct were completely crazy. And honestly, yeah, it checks out. They even said the controversial pricing wasn't scaring people off at all. Like, fans just don't care. They want their Switch 2 yesterday. And get this, it's not just the consoles. Accessories are flying too, especially that weird little Switch 2 camera they announced. Didn't think people would be that hyped for it, but here we are. Also, no surprise, the Mario Kart World Bundle is the top seller. I mean, who doesn't want new Mario Kart on day one? The original Switch is already the second best-selling console worldwide, right behind PS2. If Switch 2 can dodge all the pricing drama and global nonsense, it could seriously be another monster hit for Nintendo. You thinking of locking in a pre-order, or are you gonna wait it out? Hideo Kojima just went on his radio show, Kojima Radio, and gave us a little behind-the-scenes peek at the upcoming Death Stranding movie. And honestly, it sounds like it's shaping up to be something wild, in a good way. He talked about Michael Sarnowski, the guy directing the film. You probably know Sarnowski from A Quiet Place, Day One, and if that's not enough, the movie is also being produced by Ari Aster, the mind behind Hereditary and Midsommar. So yeah, they're stacking the deck with some serious talent. Kojima made it clear he's pretty hyped about Sarnowski leading the project. He said the director is smart, has great taste, and doesn't really feel like your typical Hollywood type, which, knowing Kojima, is probably exactly what he wanted. He also mentioned that Sarnowski actually sat down and properly played through Death Stranding and even Metal Gear Solid 1, which is cool to hear. He's clearly trying to understand Kojima's style and storytelling. But here's where it gets funny. Apparently, Sarnowski was about to dive into Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 next, and Kojima stopped him, like straight up told him not to. No explanation. Just, nope, that's enough. Which is hilarious if you know how much crazier and thematically heavier those two games get compared to the first one. Kojima didn't really give a full reason why he blocked it, but maybe he didn't want to overload the guy, or maybe he just thought it would overcomplicate how Sarnowski would approach Death Stranding, which is already a pretty out there story on its own. As for the movie itself, things are still a bit vague. It was first announced in 2022, and now with A24 officially backing it, it feels way more real. There are rumors that the movie might not just be a straight adaptation of the game. Some early leaks suggested it could feature a completely new set of characters and an original storyline set in the Death Stranding universe. One of the voice actors from the game even hinted at this before deleting the post, which obviously just makes the whole thing even more mysterious. On the other hand, Deadline reported that the movie would tackle the whole core concept of the Death Stranding, that weird catastrophic event where the line between life and death just collapsed. So it's possible we could still see something more directly connected to the game's original story. Either way, Kojima seems really confident in Sarnowski, and if Kojima believes in someone, that usually means they're willing to get as weird and experimental as he likes, which is honestly the only way a Death Stranding movie could even work. Still though, I can't stop wondering why he really stopped him from playing MGS2. Was it to avoid the mind-bending fourth wall breaks? Was he worried about Raiden stealing the spotlight? Was it just Kojima being his usual cryptic self? We'll probably never get a straight answer. But either way, it sounds like the Death Stranding movie could end up being just as strange, fascinating, and out there as the game was. And honestly, that's exactly what it should be. Man, Pedro Pascal is seriously going through it right now. So with The Last of Us Season 2 officially killing off Joel, yeah, it happened. Pedro's been out there doing press, but you can tell he's handling it the only way anyone could. Full-blown denial. And honestly, who can blame him? He said straight up, he's trying not to think about it too much. Every time someone brings it up, it's like he's low-key dodging the sadness. Because it's not just about leaving a character behind, it's about saying goodbye to this whole experience he built with the cast and crew. Like, that bond doesn't just disappear, but stepping away from it, yeah, that hurts. Apparently, when they filmed his death scene, which, by the way, looked absolutely brutal, Pedro said the vibe was weirdly chill at first. Like he's sitting in the makeup chair, chatting away, getting all the blood and bruises painted on. And then he steps onto set and immediately kills the mood. Everyone just looked devastated seeing him like that. And he could feel it. You know it's bad when you make the whole set go quiet without even saying a word. And it's crazy, because even though there's like 6 other characters involved in that scene, Pedro said it just faded into this super intense moment moment between him and Caitlin Dever, who plays Abby. Like nothing else existed for those few minutes. Just the two of them locked in that final, violent goodbye. Craig Mazin, one of the showrunners, even pointed out that one of the most heartbreaking parts wasn't Joel dying. It was this tiny little moment where Joel tries to move toward Ellie, even though he can barely breathe. Just that little broken movement. Apparently, when Bella Ramsey saw it, she completely fell apart watching it back. And yeah, same, honestly. And here's the thing. Even though Joel's technically dead now, Pedro's not totally out of the show yet. We know from the trailers that Joel's gonna pop up again. Flashbacks, memories, they're definitely gonna mess with the timeline the way the game did. So we'll still get to see him in some form, even if it's gonna hit way harder now. But hearing Pedro talk about it, you can tell how much he loved playing Joel, and how hard it was to let him go. Man, The Last of Us just keeps ripping our hearts out, and we keep coming back for more. So, there's been a pretty big Helldivers 2 leak floating around, and honestly, it's kinda wild. Basically, a well-known leaker, Iron Sights, came out and said that something they originally posted as an April Fool's joke is actually real now. Yeah, you heard that right. It turns out the Illuminate, that super advanced alien race from the first Helldivers, might actually be planning a full-on invasion of Super Earth, and apparently it's already being tested in the game. Quick little backstory if you're rusty. Helldivers 2 dropped back in February 2024, and it pretty much popped off immediately. It's a live service FPS where you're these badass space soldiers fighting bugs, terminids, and robots, automatons, to save humanity in the 22nd century. And recently, players just got back from a massive mission defending Malavalon Creek, this iconic battlefield against the automatons. Now, about this leak. At first, when the leaker teased the Illuminate invasion on April 1st, everyone just laughed it off because, you know, April Fools and all. Even the devs at Arrowhead Games were trolling that day, releasing a goofy patch that resized weapons like the Sickle and Liberator just to mess with players. But now, the same leaker is confidently saying the invasion is actually being tested behind the scenes. And here's the spicy part. Players have wanted the Illuminate back for a while. They're super high-tier enemies with stuff like Overseers and Elevated Overseers leading the charge. Basically, not the type of enemy you want knocking on your front door. If this is really happening, it could be the biggest event Helldivers 2 has seen so far. But, and it's a big but, the leak also mentions that the event is still in testing, meaning if it's real, it could still be months away before we actually get to play it. Some players are even joking that humanity should just move permanently to Malavalon Creek because Super Earth is basically doomed if the Illuminate shows up. A quick side note too, Super Earth isn't just Earth 2.0. In Helldivers lore, it's the capital of humanity, formed when Earth collided with another planet called Theia. It's this massive, heavily populated planet split into 7 sectors like Europe, Oceania, and Latin America. So yeah, this leak could end up being a massive shakeup. And honestly, it's kinda poetic that something that started as a joke is now shaping up to be one of the most exciting parts of Helldivers 2. Now the real question is, if this invasion actually goes down, are we even ready for it? Or are we all gonna get stomped by giant glowy space squids before we can even load our liberators? If you somehow slept on RoboCop Rogue City when it dropped back in 2023, now might be the perfect time to wake up. Not even kidding. This game was one of the biggest sleeper hits of that year. It nailed the cheesy, over-the-top vibe of the original '87 movie perfectly, while giving us a tanky, violent, and just straight-up fun first-person shooter. And now, 2 years later, the devs at Teon are back with a brand new expansion called Unfinished Business. And it actually sounds kind of fire. It's a standalone story, so you don't even need to have played Rogue City to jump in. Basically, RoboCop is hunting down a group of mercs who stole some critical tech from the precinct. They hole up inside this giant building called Omni Tower. Think a massive dystopian apartment block where old Detroit's evicted residents got dumped. And from there, it's basically the Raid or Dread, but with RoboCop. Start at the bottom, shoot your way to the top, save some civilians, smash some skulls, stop the bad guys from hijacking all of OCP's tech, including, you know, RoboCop himself. Classic. The cool part is, they're adding more emotional layers this time. As you fight through the tower, you'll be haunted by ghosts from Alex Murphy's past. Turns out, the main villain was once one of Murphy's old cop buddies. Same goal, protecting Detroit, but very, very different methods. So yeah, it's gonna hit harder than just pew pew bang bang. And here's the twist. You're not just playing as RoboCop. Unfinished Business is also adding flashback sequences sequences where you actually play as Officer Murphy before he was turned into a machine. No armor, no overpowered gadgets. Just a regular beat cop trying to survive, using the environment to outsmart enemies instead of bulldozing through them. It's a sick throwback to the movies, where RoboCop's old memories would randomly break through. Honestly, this sounds way better than just more Rogue City. It's expanding the world, giving us more of Murphy's humanity, and still letting us punch bad guys through wall. Win-win. And if you haven't even touched Rogue City yet, there's no better time. It's literally free right now on PlayStation Plus for April. Or if you're on PC, it's like $10 on Steam, and it's Steam Deck verified too. No excuses. If you ever wanted to stomp around dystopian Detroit saying, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," this is your moment. Alright, so Kingmakers kinda came out of nowhere, right? Like, nobody was expecting it. No big teasers, no years of hype. They just dropped a trailer one day, and it goes off the rails so fast. At first you're like, okay, this looks like some cool medieval sim, you know? Big castles, armies clashing, swords and arrows flying everywhere. Pretty standard. You're thinking it's maybe something like Mount and Blade or Total War, right? But then, and I'm not even exaggerating, a pickup truck literally comes roaring across the battlefield. You just see hundreds of medieval knights getting absolutely flattened by this truck. And if that wasn't enough, a guy jumps out and starts mowing them down with a shotgun like it's Doom, but with chainmail. Like dudes throwing grenades, driving through villages, calling in helicopter strikes. It's pure chaos. I swear to you, I blinked for a second and suddenly it felt like I was watching Call of Duty, medieval warfare. It's insane, but it's also kinda genius. So here's the actual story behind it. You're a guy from the future. Humanity is almost extinct. They don't even explain why exactly. And the plan is, alright, what if we just went back in time to the Middle Ages and took over? Like, fix the future by rewriting the past. Makes perfect sense, right? Honestly, it's the kind of dumb brilliance that immediately makes me want to play it. And it's not just a one guy with a gun thing. You're building cities, managing armies, setting up defenses, leading entire civilizations. It's basically Age of Empires mixed with Battlefield, mixed with Just Cause. You're commanding troops, upgrading settlements, and personally getting your hands dirty with modern weapons. The gameplay looks ridiculous but weirdly smart. You can zoom way out into a top-down view and command thousands of units like an RTS, but you can also drop right down into third person and fight alongside your troops, guns blazing, grenades flying, or just straight up plowing through enemies in a Humvee. And apparently it's not just random chaos either. There's a full progression system. You start out with basic medieval weapons, swords, spears, crossbows, but as you grow your empire and tech up, you start unlocking machine guns, rocket launchers, even attack helicopters. 1 second you're storming a castle with knights and catapults. Next second, an Apache helicopter is blowing the walls apart. It's like Army of Darkness on steroids. Here's the crazy part. They're using Unreal Engine 5, and they built a special system to simulate like thousands of NPCs on screen at once. Normally that would completely fry most PCs, but somehow they got it running not just on high-end rigs, but even on Steam Decks, which is nuts. Apparently what they do is background soldiers aren't fully active unless you interact with them. They're mostly lightweight simulations until you get close, shoot them, or run them over with a truck. Then the full physics kicks in. Ragdolling, dynamic reactions, everything. That's how they keep performance reasonable, even with like 4,000 guys on screen. If your rig is beefy enough, you can apparently crank the settings and have up to 10,000 units in a single battle. I can't even imagine what that looks like. That's straight up movie battle scenes, like Return of the King levels of chaos, co-op and single player. Oh, and they confirmed it's fully playable offline if you want single player, no forced always online crap. But they also have full 4-player co-op for online play. And it's peer-to-peer hosted matches, which means if their servers ever die, you can still play with friends forever. No dumb server shutdowns killing your copy of the game in 5 years. Massive W for preservation right there. What's the gameplay loop? From what they've shown, it seems like the gameplay loop is a mix of building and upgrading cities, managing armies and defending against invasions, conquering enemy territories, fighting huge battles yourself in third person, looting resources from defeated enemies and using them to upgrade even crazier tech. There's even crafting, resource management, recruiting citizens. It's surprisingly deep underneath all the chaos. The team behind it? They're called Redemption Road Games. Their last big project was Road Redemption, basically a spiritual successor to the old school Road Rash games. And Road Redemption was pure chaotic fun. Not super polished, but it knew exactly what it was trying to be. Dumb, fast, ridiculous fun. That gives me a lot of confidence here. These guys aren't pretending to make some big prestige project. They're making something that's just fun. No battle passes, no microtransaction bloat, no fake promises. The game will launch first on Steam in early access. No console versions right away, but they said they're planning to port it to consoles after the 1.0 release. There's also supposed to be a demo dropping soon, so players can try it out early. Alright, so Clair Obscur. Expedition 33 finally dropped, and honestly, it's a huge win for Sandfall Interactive. Like, not just good for a first game, this thing is legit getting called one of the best RPGs of the generation. Across OpenCritic, it's sitting at a 92 average, with a whopping 96% of reviewers recommending it, based on over 60 different reviews. That's pretty nuts, especially for a brand new IP from a debut studio. You almost never see something this polished and this ambitious come out of nowhere anymore. The crazy part? Most of the reviews aren't just positive, they're emotional. People are saying this game feels like a real piece of art, not just another RPG chasing trends. The soundtrack, the visuals, the storytelling, it's hitting people in the gut in a way that honestly reminds me of when games like Persona 5, Chrono Trigger, and Final Fantasy X first came out. Now, to keep it real, it's not perfect. Some reviewers mentioned that while the story and world are beautiful, the gamification and progression systems can feel a little clunky, or that it doesn't totally innovate past its inspirations. Basically, if you've played a lot of classic JRPGs, you'll recognize the structure here. It's just done really, really well. But honestly, those criticisms are the minority. The vast majority of the reviews are glowing. CG Magazine gave it a perfect 10 out of 10, calling it master-crafted and heart-wrenching. Checkpoint Gaming said it blasts the door down and instantly becomes a masterpiece classic. Fextra Life basically called it a once-in-a-generation RPG. Life is Xbox said it might be the best RPG of its kind. GameSpot called it phenomenal, highlighting how the combat isn't just flashy, but super smart and strategic too. There's a ton of love for the combat system, by the way. It's turn-based, but with a heavy real-time twist, kinda like Paper Mario, where you time blocks and attacks, but layered with way more depth. You're actively dodging, parrying, and pulling off clutch moves during enemy turns too. It's super engaging, not passive at all like old-school menu battlers. The art direction is also a big standout. Reviewers keep comparing it to running through a living, breathing painting. It's heavily inspired by French symbolist art, and it makes the whole world feel dreamlike and haunting. It's not just pretty graphics, it's stylized in a way that actually hits you emotionally. Another thing that's super consistent across the reviews is the praise for the characters and emotional weight. Players and critics alike are saying this game hits harder than they expected. It deals with grief, loss, perseverance, and hope in a way that feels genuine and not just sad for the sake of drama. It's the kind of story that stays with you long after you put the controller down. Lengthwise, people are saying you're looking at around 25 to 30 hours if you stick to the main story. But if you dive into all the side quests, secrets, and optional content, you could easily double that, pushing into 50 to 60 hours of gameplay. Now, a few reviewers mentioned small flaws. Exploration can sometimes feel a little messy. Menus can be cluttered. There's one big story twist that some people found predictable, but honestly, even the reviews that pointed that out, like Monstervine and SavePoint Gaming, still ended up giving it really high scores, like 4/5 or 9/10 level scores. So the positives totally outweigh the negatives. Bottom line, if you like RPGs even a little bit, especially emotional ones with a strong artistic soul, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 sounds like a must-play. If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.